Welcome, everybody. Another week behind us, another week of progress. I think we have some interesting stuff to talk about and also to showcase today. Obviously, as all of you know, we are on our march towards Chrysalis, getting Chrysalis onto the mainnet. So I think what I would want to do today is to give you guys a sort of update on where we stand. What is left to do, and also really start to build up some of the excitement for everything that's coming. And before I talk about Chrysalis, I want to have like a quick discussion around one of the most important topics, not just in blockchain or crypto, but also in life in general. And I think the keyword is uncertainty, right? Because I think all of you who have been in the crypto market for a long time, you know that nothing is more uncertain, nothing is more unpredictable as the crypto market. It goes up, it goes down, something happens. And generally it's progressing, right? And I think the uncertainty of the market in 2021 versus 2017 is very different. And we sort of have to ask ourselves, right? It's 2021. Everybody's super excited about what's happening in the market. An NFT piece sold for 69 million, right? So you kind of start to wonder, like, what the hell is going on here, right? And we are over $1 trillion in market cap in total, which is higher than in 2017. 2017, I think the peak was around 800 billion, right? So we are far beyond the 2017 numbers. So we have to ask ourselves, what is different this time, right? What makes 2021 different? And I think the keyword is, as I mentioned before, uncertainty. And 2017 was really this very where crypto was this super novel environment. Everybody was super excited about it and thought like, hey, this is a new get rich scheme, first and foremost, right? That's why we had those really crazy ICOs raising hundreds of millions of dollars just with a white paper or a fancy website. And so everybody got into the space on the wrong premise. And the wrong premise was simply that everybody was looking for short-term gains. And when these short-term gains were not realized, everybody started to panic. And some of you probably know this term, right? Cascading margin calls, right? It was all cascading downfall. And that's what led to the boom of $800 billion towards $200 billion, right? So the entire market lost so much in value, like I think 95%. And the year 2021, right? So we had 4 years since 2017 to really build up the infrastructure around crypto, and also to build up the right technologies, to build on the right premises, and to also build more excitement on the right premises. And I think in 2021, like what is really different from 2017? 2017, we constantly felt this pressure that everything is going to fall down tomorrow, right? Either something is going to break, or a government is going to go intervene, or an exchange is going to be hacked and lose all of their capital. So you were in an environment where it was like just constant pressure, right? And constant uncertainty of what's going to happen tomorrow. Now in 2021, this is very different. We have large institutional investors who are really buying up a large portion of crypto, right? Most of the influx of capital was not retail, it was institutional investors. That is very different from 2017. 2017 was purely driven from retail and obviously retail investors, right? So in 2021, we have institutional investors, we have large corporates who are buying into the storyline of crypto assets as a real asset, right? Of crypto assets as an asset that you want to put on your balance sheet. And that in and of itself is already huge. We have the story of Tesla that bought $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. We have the story of the Israeli pension fund buying into the Grayscale and Bitcoin fund, right? And that just shows you that if there's a pension fund, the Israeli pension fund getting into this space, it just shows that things are starting to accelerate. And then obviously we have PayPal buying Curve, which just shows you that they are starting to open their floodgates soon. Right? If you think about it, PayPal has 300 million users. They haven't even opened it up to everybody yet to acquire crypto. And in addition to that, right, so we have institutional investors, we have corporates buying in, and most important, we have really well-established financial infrastructure around cryptos, where there's more custodians, where there's more regulated exchanges and more brokers and more legitimate players really entering the space. And on top of that, we have real world adoption, right? We have real world use cases that are having an impact. And even though some technologies are having trouble because they're reaching their limits and it's all sort of built on shaky grounds, we as an entire ecosystem, we've really matured and we've really evolved. And that's what makes 2021 different from 2017. And that's why I am personally really excited for what's to come, because I don't think this is over yet. I think we're really just getting started with everything. And even if you leave out the global financial situation that we are in right now with COVID, with new stimulus checks getting into being pumped into the economy, even leaving all of that out, I think crypto as a whole has really proven itself, and it's really here to stay. And it is being adopted in the real world, as we're seeing with our collaborations with Dell, with Jaguar Land Rover, with other big companies that are really excited to leverage crypto, not as an investment vehicle, but leverage IOTA as a utility that enables their use case. And that's exactly where we want to evolve into. And that's why I wanted to start this discussion around uncertainty, right? Because uncertainty was prevalent. It was everywhere in 2017. And I think in 2021, the uncertainty is really clear. It's largely removed out of the equation. Obviously, there's always uncertainty in anything that you do in life, right? You just have to learn to cope with it, because we don't have all the information when we make decisions. We don't have all the information when we're going down a journey, going down a path. So you live off assumptions, right? And you have to be comfortable making decisions based on assumptions. And that's why this year is very different. And for us, it's also very different because we as a project, we cleared this uncertainty out of the project by making, first of all, by really sitting down and thinking about what do we do really good, and what is this general direction that we should be taking, and remove everything out of the equation that is not really helping us achieve this mission. And what we've really done is we've clearly defined what these objectives for the project are, right? We have IOTA 1.0, we have Chrysalis, we have Cordicide, and then on top of that, we have this whole ecosystem of applications, of modules and of products that are being built. Let me share this actually with you. So what you see here is sort of this roadmap that we have in front of us that really made the entire IOTA mission so much clearer to understand where we're heading. Right. With this in mind, we really were able to remove all of this uncertainty of where we want to go. How do we make IOTA a standard, and how do we get it adopted in the real world? If you think about IOTA today, it's not production ready, right? We've always said that IOTA is not production ready, Ethereum is not production ready, Bitcoin is not production ready. Where you want to go is you want to cross this chasm towards actual production readiness. And this is our roadmap towards production readiness. And we have IOTA 1.0 today. Right now we have Chrysalis going onto the mainnet. With Chrysalis, what we are doing is we are removing one-time signatures, we're removing ternary, we're removing non-standard crypto, we're removing unoptimized code, and we're really replacing everything with a complete new node software, with a complete new protocol, and with a complete new ecosystem of tools and libraries, and even a complete new wallet, as you can see here, right? So we've rewritten everything to help us go on this journey to be production ready. And it's been a long process, right? It's taking like a year to really refine all of these different concepts and come up with them. But all of that is being ready, right? It's being made ready so that we can really go on further on this journey to become production ready. Now, the big question is like, what is left after Chrysalis, right? After Chrysalis, we have a highly optimized protocol that can be integrated into IoT devices, that can be integrated by exchanges very easily. We have a protocol where the transition from the current version, right, from the Chrysalis version towards the future Cordicide version has been minimized so that you don't really have to make many big changes to your applications anymore. So it's also sort of future-proofing the protocol itself so that the other upgrades that we have in our pipeline can be done as smoothly as possible. But the big question is like, what is left after Chrysalis, right? And the only thing that's left is to fully decentralize the protocol, is to remove the coordinator and is to introduce Cordicide. And what's really exciting about all of this is that none of this is in research stage anymore. None of this is up for questioning. None of this is uncertain. All of this is, we have a very clear roadmap ahead of us. We know exactly what the phases are going to be. And now it's all about implementing it and start to build up the ecosystem around IOTA and to really get the ecosystem to start building. And that's really exciting because like if I look at this, I really feel certain about where we're heading, and all of this uncertainty that we've had over the last few years is completely removed, and all of this criticism of the protocol, right? Every single project out there has criticism, has certain downfalls, has certain disadvantages over others. All of it is removed with this, right? And we are not just going onto the path of fully decentralizing IOTA, but we're also going on the path of proving that DAX and the Tangle is the best version of a distributed ledger. And even more exciting than that, we are really building a standard, right, with our distributed ledger. This layer one tech that really does machine-to-machine payments, that really does transactions in the most secure, in the most decentralized, and in a feeless way. And on top of that, you can then really start building new applications like dApps, but also really build more extensions towards the IOTA protocol. I think that's super exciting. And I think we'll share this image with all of you over the next few days, so you can also look at it and benefit from it. And I hope all of you understand sort of where we're heading with all of this. So let's discuss Chrysalis and where we stand there right now. By the way, this is absolutely beautiful. I really love the graphic here. So when it comes to Chrysalis, looking at this, I think this post is from 2020, right? May 2020. If we look at this, what we are doing is we are introducing EDDSA. What EDDSA is, it's basically reusable addresses, right? So you can reuse your address. It's much smaller signature sizes. I think it's like 80 or 100 bytes, and basically it removes this notion of one-time signatures completely from the protocol, right? Then we have atomic transactions and UTXO, so that we no longer have this account-based model, but we have a similar structure as in Bitcoin with the unspent transaction outputs. Auto-peering, I don't think auto-peering is going to make it into the Chrysalis release. I think that's going to come after, but that's fine. And white flag is already live. I think the improved tip selection is already live. New milestone selection is also live, and the binary transaction layout needs to be done as well, right? All of that is feeding into the Chrysalis release. And what we need to change there is the node software, the Hornet, the Go implementation, and the B implementation, and the libraries, and the wallet, right? Where we stand right now is that the node software is completely done. Muxer, one of the core devs of Hornet, and I think also Luca have been really trying to optimize it further by talking with the community or working together with the community to figure out how we can improve the solidification and other stuff. So they are already focused on optimizations, which shows that we have some really exciting stuff there to really improve the benchmarks. But the node software is done, right? And that's really good. We did the audits. All of that looks really great there. Then the libraries. What we're doing with the libraries is we have one implementation in Rust. As you can probably see from the release that we had last week, or I wouldn't say release, but where we had this blog post on the documentation. So the libraries is done, right? It's implemented. You can already start to build your application on IOTA today, on Chrysalis IOTA today. And in addition to that, we also have a complete new architecture of the wallet. The way that the wallet is going to be constructed, right, Firefly, is that instead of having everything in one piece of monolithic software, is we depend on different modules, different libraries, which is Wallet RS, obviously implemented in Rust, and Stronghold to decouple some of these components and to really make sure that each of them is well optimized and is really secure. And I think Wallet RS and Stronghold are also being audited right now. We're finishing that up. And what's very exciting is that with Firefly, right? With Firefly, we're right now doing alpha testing, or have been doing that for the last week together with the community. And from the current timeline, I think in about a week, we'll be able to open it up to the entire community so that all of you can also play around with it, because I think not many people have actually started to participate in the network yet, right? It was primarily more of the hardcore hardcore people who are able to set up their own node and stuff. And I think with the Firefly release, it will be much easier for all of you to also really appreciate the difference of using reusable addresses and the difference of IOTA when transactions confirm in less than 10 seconds, and just generally the look and feel of this new IOTA that we've developed. And I think, as I've promised, I really wanted to show it to you, the Firefly wallet. So I'll do something that you usually never do, and that is to do a live demo without ever doing the live demo before. So basically, let me get the wallet. So as you can see here, this is the Firefly wallet. It looks absolutely gorgeous. All right. So let me try and log in. And by the way, just so you all know, I've never used it before. so don't hate me if something goes wrong. So the Firefly wallet, as I told you guys, it has a different architecture right now, because we really wanted to learn from the mistakes that we've made with Trinity. And yeah, I had to choose the Dominator name. but with Firefly, we really wanted to learn we really learned our lessons with Trinity. And instead of having this monolithic piece of software where a potential third-party integration can bring everything down, we really started to decouple the architecture. So there's different components that are well optimized in their own domain and that are security audited, right? And so with that, you don't have to worry about security anymore in that regard, because it's being taken care of by these different modules. And the core of Firefly is really Stronghold. And Daniel gave a great explanation of what Stronghold is and the vision behind it. The way that you can think about Stronghold is that it uses special cryptography, right, to really make sure that your seed, your private key, is as secure as possible, and so that a hacker is not able to steal your seed anymore, or if there's a third-party integration into the wallet, that they do not get access to the seed. So you can really think about it as a bodyguard, where somebody who's trying to access your password or to your seed, they really need to have the key, right? They need to be able to unlock it. And I can highly encourage all of you to watch that video where Daniel explains Stronghold. We'll definitely do more blog posts over the next week or two on the architecture of Firefly so that all of you can also understand it. But it has been security audited and it looks really good so far. Maybe let me try, basically I need to do the Stronghold unlock here. Let me unlock Stronghold. Great, so now I should be able to create a new account. Let me do it as savings account. By the way, can you all see the screen well? The wallet? It should be fine, right? Yo, you must use your latest account before creating. Oh, okay, I need to use this one. Yeah, great. So let me do the. So we have a faucet here. And by the way, this is also an underappreciated fact. Like, look at the new address, right? The new address scheme is really beautiful. As you can see here, it's IOTA, basically IOTA in reverse. That is for the testnet. So in the future, all of our testnets or the IOTA testnet will have this address scheme with IOTA, and the IOTA mainnet will have IOTA. So every time you send out an address on the IOTA network, you have this prefix with IOTA, which really makes it easy to not spend tokens from a different network on the IOTA network and vice versa, right? So it's like a security measure. So let me try and request these tokens. All right, seems to work. And basically it should take like a few seconds now to receive it. There's also the possibility to integrate the Ledger wallet, right? I think Ledger will come after the Chrysalis release, but that's what we are looking at right now, how feasible it will be to do it. Oh, look, now it's already confirmed. So it took around 10 seconds to confirm. Maybe like one of you who's part of the, like I'm looking at the chat right now, maybe one of you who has an address, I'll send some to you. Adam, I'll send you some tokens. Max. And that should be it, right? And that's it, right? See you next week. No, but it's super simple, right? And the beauty of Firefly is that it's really beautiful, and it's going to be more than just a wallet, right? And right now, the primary objective is to release it for Chrysalis, so that all of you can also do the transition from the current IOTA network to the Chrysalis network. So none of you really have to worry about the transition itself. It will be taken care of by the Firefly wallet. And then obviously with Chrysalis itself, you will then be using IOTA or Firefly as your main IOTA wallet. And the vision of Firefly is really to go beyond that, because it's really sort of meant as this personal like app that you can utilize to store your assets, your IOTA tokens, your NFTs, your shit coins, whatever, right? Or you can also use it to store your identity and access, store your vaccine passport in Firefly and really be this main hub. So I think that's really exciting, the way that we are progressing with Firefly. And as I mentioned before, so here you can see, for example, what the transaction layout looks like, and it's absolutely amazing, actually. Yeah. The goal is to release this next week, right? So that all of you, in about a week, so that all of you can also start to play around with it and send tokens around. For those of you who've been part of the IOTA community since the very early days. This is such a beautiful progression from the original GUI wallet. Maybe I can actually find it, which was breaking down and where people were really always scared of address reuse and were scared of the balance not showing up. So this is what the original IOTA wallet looks like. We've come a really long way. That's amazing. I remember when we released it, and even for us, you know, it was always really like scary because you're like, oh shit, where's my balance? And then you had to reuse, or you had to regenerate addresses to generate your balance again. So this really gets some nostalgic feels. And I remember the loading screen, because we tried to be really fancy with it. It took like 30 seconds. So this is like this is really amazing. And so the Firefly team has really done an absolutely amazing job. And as I mentioned, right, the objective is to release this in a week so that all of you can play around with it. We can start sending around transactions. You can own a few TIs on the testnet if you're good, right? And you can really help us battle test it so that it's ready for the Chrysalis release. And so will be really exciting to see how this is going to evolve. But yeah, amazing job by the Firefly team. So I'm really excited to see where we can take this. Right, so to summarize, the node software is done. They're already in optimization mode. What we still have to do with the node software is to finalize the migration and the migration software. That has to be security audited as well, because that basically helps to transition from the old legacy IOTA network towards the new Chrysalis network. So that is then also going to be part of the Firefly wallet. Other than that, right, the library is done. If you're a developer who wants to start building on the testnet already, I can highly encourage you to go to our docs page so that you can learn more about how IOTA looks different now and how to actually start to utilize it in your application, in your product. Then we have Wallet RS and Stronghold, where we are finishing the security audit as well right now, and that's looking very good. And then we have the Firefly wallet, which is currently in a private alpha release with like a few dozen people. And in a week, we will be able to do the public beta where everybody can download it and where everybody can play around with it. So it's all coming together. The biggest thing that we are right now coordinating is the exchanges. And this is something that we've always said is sort of the major determining factor when Chrysalis will go live. From the looks of it right now, Bitfinex should be pretty much done. And we are in close coordination with Upbit and with Binance. But as you guys can guess, exchanges can be difficult sometimes. But we're really trying our best to get them to commit to the end of March timeline so that they are doing this transition together with us, because there's no point in releasing Chrysalis without the exchanges supporting it. So we'll know more, I think, next week in terms of the commitment from them, but we're working together with them to do the transition. And I think Upbit and Binance are probably most important right now to support the transition. Without further ado, if you guys have any questions about this stuff, maybe just ask on Reddit so that we can also answer this next week. But yeah. Really happy that it all worked, because it was kind of like doing live presentations, live showcases, live demos is always kind of scary. So moving on to the next point, right? If we look at this graphic here, we have Chrysalis coming out which is a complete rewrite of the entire IOTA protocol. We have a complete new wallet library. We have a complete new stack with the wallet itself. And we are future-proofing the project for this next phase. And the next phase is something that we've been working on for the last 2 or 3 years, where we've really done our research, where we've really collaborated with some of the leading experts in the world, and where we've really written exciting peer-reviewed research, and that is Cordicide. Cordicide itself is sort of, it is a term, right? The suicide of the coordinator. But it's also this new consensus protocol of IOTA. We're obviously not going to call it Cordicide. It will be probably FPC or something like that. But Cordicide is the culmination of our research over the last few years, where we're trying to take the best research that we have developed, the best research from other projects, to combine it into a new consensus protocol, into a new distributed ledger that really makes sure that the DAG, the Tangle itself, is production ready. And in order to make it production ready, we need to make it fully decentralized, so that there is no single point of failure, that there is no coordinator, and that it's really being secured by all of the network participants, where it's being secured also via the algorithms behind it, right? Where it cannot be attacked, where it cannot be taken down. And obviously, what was most important for our work was to make it feeless. Because we could have realized Cordicide years ago if we had gone down this path of introducing fees. The main hypothesis of IOTA was always, you can only get adoption for distributed ledger in these very important IoT use cases if you don't have any transaction fees, because we want to enable micropayments and we want to enable machine-to-machine payments. And as we're seeing with Ethereum right now, where the transaction fees go to $80, $100, it just becomes really crazy to think about building production-ready applications and use cases on top of an unpredictable base layer. And so for us, Cordicide is to really have this very predictable, this very reliable base layer that you can rely on in terms of its security, in terms of its decentralization, and in terms of the fees, right? We don't want any fees on the base layer. And there's several important components of Cordicide. The sort of roadmap of Cordicide was always, hey, it gets implemented in Go Shimmer, which is this, I would say, research implementation of Cordicide. And right now we're moving towards having all of the important Cordicide components implemented in Go Shimmer. And what that means is that we're moving towards this nectar phase of Cordicide, where we feel very comfortable in what we've implemented to really launch an incentivized testnet, meaning that those that participate in the network, those that attack the network, get rewarded. And as you can see here, one of the most important components of Cordicide is Mana. And Mana has now been implemented in Cordicide, in Go Shimmer. So first of all, that's fucking amazing, because Mana is one of the key components of Cordicide, and it's also one of the most unique ideas, I would say, in the entire distributed ledger space. Because what Mana is, it's part of a reputation system, I would say. It really helps with the rate control of the system, and also it's also sort of a protection mechanism against attacks. That makes attacks very expensive, and that limits the potential attack surface, right? So that somebody, either with a lot of voting power, with a lot of nodes, or with a lot of tokens, is not able to attack or take down the network. That's what we work for, right? What we are doing with distributed ledgers is to really decentralize the network so that it is secure. And Mana is this important rate control mechanism that helps us to secure the IOTA network and the IOTA ledger. And what you can see here is what Mana actually looks like. Maybe a quick explanation from my side on what Mana is. the way that you can think about it, and this is a very simple explanation. We'll have more blog posts on this soon, and also some kind of tutorials on what it will do. Think about it like this, right? So the way that Ethereum works today is that I buy IOTA tokens, and then I basically pay miners to include my transaction in the block. That means that I'm kind of burning my IOTA tokens in order to enable my use case. So over time, my IOTA tokens are going down in value. The way that you should think about IOTA with Mana is that I acquire IOTA tokens in order to generate this scarce resource, and the scarce resource is Mana, right? And what Mana now gives me, it gives me part of the transaction throughput in the entire network, right? So let's say that I hold a certain amount of IOTA tokens, and those IOTA tokens give me 10% of the transaction throughput of the entire network at that time. And this is absolutely amazing because, first of all, my IOTA tokens do not go down in value. In fact, the IOTA tokens turn from an investment, from an asset, towards a utility, right? Because now the IOTA tokens enable my use case. And in addition to that, I don't have to pay any fees whatsoever. I don't have to pay a miner, a validator. I am the validator, right? I am participating in the consensus and in the security of the entire network. And I don't have to pay any fees. Right? It becomes that. It enables very predictable business use cases, because now as a company, I can really determine the amount of transaction throughput that I need for my use case. And as such, I can make my investments. I can build up my infrastructure to enable it, and I can acquire IOTA tokens in order to enable the actual use case, right? And it becomes a very simple calculation to figure out how many tokens I need in order to have a certain transaction throughput in the network. And most importantly, I am not dependent on anybody, right? I don't depend on a third party. I don't depend on a centralized exchange. I don't depend on the IOTA Foundation, because I can generate this resource myself in order to enable my use case. And what Mana then enables, right, is to figure out how do we, in the most fair, in the most safe, and in the most secure way, how do we distribute this scarce resource, which is the transaction throughput. So that's a very simple explanation. And what we've done now is we've implemented Mana in GoShimmer. We still need to plug all of the different components in with Mana, like, for example, auto-peering and stuff, but it's already implemented, and you can already start to generate it on the GoShimmer network, in the Poland network of Cordicide. And I can, like, for those of you who really want to try it out, I can highly encourage you to set up a node and to participate. There was already some people from the community that have set up their own node and that have started to generate Mana. And yeah, I think this is absolutely one of the most important milestones in Cordicide. And the way that this is going to progress now is we are finishing the Nectar implementation of GoShimmer. So all the components are integrated and is also optimized in certain ways. And what we'll then also be doing is we'll be doing some tests of different Mana versions, right? There's different ways to do Mana. I remember we were once talking about 5 different versions, but right now we have 2 different Manas, Mana 1 and Mana 2. And I can maybe get Luigi or Billy onto the show over the next few weeks so that they can also explain the differences in Mana. But we'll also be testing this. And I think one thing that really made IOTA so great in the early days is that the community sort of built the ledger together with us, where we were doing, like, for example, early research on certain topics. And then it was like, hey, please execute this software together with us to figure out which is the most optimal way to do things. And with Mana, we'll be able to do that again, where all of you are invited to participate in the GoShimmer testnet, to play around with Mana with us, and to really optimize it and find the best implementation and decentralize IOTA together, basically. So I think that will be very exciting. And as I mentioned some weeks ago, we are really thinking about how to do the incentivized testnet right now. And I think over the next few weeks, we will make a decision on how it will look like, and we'll also announce it to all of you. But without further ado, make sure to look at the blog post and to look at the release itself. And if you're brave enough, make sure to download it and make sure to participate in Gossamer, because Gossamer is really going to increase in the exciting stuff that you can do with it, right? Is only going to increase. Here's a quick preview of what MAN actually does, by the way. So it really helps with the rate control of the system and keeps it secure. So it's a beautiful concept. And make sure to also check out this resource from the community, so you can also learn more about it. Well, over the next few weeks, we're going to do more blog posts and also more tutorials on Mana. Right now, we are trying to keep the focus on Chrysalis so that all of you also understand the impact of EDDSA, the impact of UTXO, right? I think we have some more education to do there. And once we're done with that, we'll definitely continue with doing a Mana week and doing this together with you guys and decentralizing IOTA together. So I think that's super exciting. And the next point, and probably my last point, right? Let's look at this graphic again. Removing uncertainty, right? That's the motto. And we remove uncertainty by having a very reliable base ledger to build on. The interesting part about Ethereum, and what Vitalik always said, is what's going to kill Ethereum is Ethereum. The main reason why he's saying that is Ethereum is not production ready, and having such a huge ecosystem on top of Ethereum today is good, and is also terrible, because doing a transition from the current Ethereum network towards Ethereum 2.0 is going to be so much more expensive and so much more difficult, right? And so I have a huge respect for the people working on Ethereum and doing research there. No wonder they're taking their time, because they have a huge responsibility there as well. And that just puts us in a very different spot, right? Because what we've always said is we've always deliberately said IOTA is beta. IOTA is not production ready, but we're moving towards production readiness, and we're moving towards this full decentralization of the network. And that's exactly where we are right now, right? We had to make all of these mistakes over the last few years to get to where we are right now. And that's the exciting part of our journey, because right now everything is coming together. And as you can see here, everything is leading towards this very clear path, this clear objective of fully decentralizing IOTA, of having a fully production-ready distributed ledger, right? And the beautiful part of that is that we will then have a really amazing ecosystem on top of IOTA. And one of the most important extensions of IOTA, so to say, is smart contracts. We had the smart contract release I think 2 weeks ago at this point. And smart contracts are really part of this journey, right? Because a production-ready base ledger makes it possible for us to extend the core functionality of IOTA. And I've said it a few times on the show so far, IOTA is all about a modular architecture. Layer 1 is just focused on transactional settlement. How do I most securely, in the most decentralized and feeless way, get tokens from A to B, right? And secure them and nearly instantaneously. That is the core focus of IOTA. And it's extended by also allowing data to be secured on the base ledger. And what that allows us to do is to build really amazing modules and products on top of this base ledger, sort of as a layer 2. And that extends the functionality, right? That's why we have streams for secure data streams that allows you to do supply chain tracking, to have secure audit trails, that allows you to do identity, right? Then we have IOTA Identity as a framework right now. And I think identity will be one of the most exciting products over the next few weeks that we're going to talk about more. We have IOTA Access, which is also moving forward after the Chrysalis release. And then very importantly, we have smart contracts. And smart contracts is really sort of us learning our lessons from the history, but also learning the lessons from the others. And what was very exciting about IOTA smart contracts is instead of having this vision of a global computer, of the global computer that is accessed and is being utilized by everybody, we're sort of already now moving towards a sort of sharded future where you yourself focus on your environment, on your validators, and you focus on your smart contract without having to worry about being impacted by others. Because what happens in traditional blockchains today is that if one application is very successful, they're able to outbid you. They're able to really compete with you for this scarce resource. And the scarce resource is transaction throughput, right? It is being included in the blocks. And if your application is not able to afford the fees, you're out of luck, right? Your use case is not enabled. Now, what we enable with IOTA smart contracts is you're actually able to launch your own environment on top of IOTA smart contracts so that you don't depend on others. So you don't depend on this global world computer, right? But you've created your own environment, and as such, you can reliably enable your use case. Now, that's only part of the story. Key of all of this is the interoperability, because the amazing stuff that Ethereum achieved, I would say, is the interoperability. They also call it like Lego blocks, right? Where when you buy an NFT, you can take out a loan on that NFT, or you can create a new collateralized currency, right? So one smart contract is able to take assets from another smart contract. And when coming up with the IOTA smart contract protocol, this interoperability is key. Because if I have a smart contract, if I generate my ERC20 token in a smart contract, I want to make it accessible to this entire ecosystem that's being built on IOTA. And exactly that is being achieved with IOTA smart contracts, because what we do is we are able to leverage this base layer. We're able to leverage the IOTA ledger for this interoperability between smart contracts. And that's super, super exciting, right? And I'm like, the way that the strategy looks like right now, just so that all of you who are asking about the soons know, right? So we have Chrysalis coming out. After Chrysalis, like for us, it was very important to have sort of a feature freeze of Chrysalis so that we don't put too many new requirements into the ledger, because then we're never going to launch, right? That is why digital assets, i.e. tokenized assets on top of IOTA, and smart contracts is going to come over the next few months after the Chrysalis release and before Cordicide. And the way that it works with digital assets is right now we have the RFC, and we already have several teams that are actually building NFT marketplaces. So I think that will be super, super interesting. We also have some token foundries already now being built. And in addition to that, we have smart contracts, which is really starting to move towards an ecosystem that you can build on. And the way that the strategy looks like for IOTA smart contracts is that we're right now working on porting over the Ethereum virtual machine. So that basically, if you have a Solidity smart contract today, you can actually launch it on top of the IOTA smart contract platform. And that in and of itself is really huge, right? Because this way, we don't have to invest all of the resources, all of the money in setting up our own ecosystem or our own tool sets. They already exist in Ethereum. And we rather want to sort of focus on building a bridge towards Ethereum, right? That's why we're doing the project with Pantos and TU Vienna, so that if you have an asset that was built on top of Ethereum, you can port it over trustlessly to IOTA, right? To IOTA smart contracts. And I think that will be a very exciting development. Right now, IOTA smart contracts is built on top of Gossamer. And I think over the next, 4 to 5 weeks, we'll really be able to see some of more smart contracts being developed by the community. And also, once Mana and Nectar is ready, I'm very certain that we'll be able to see more dApps and applications being built. So yeah, I think all of this is very clear to all of you, right? 2021 is all about removing uncertainty and having a very, very clear objectives ahead of us with Chrysalis, with Cordicide, but looking further than that with smart contracts, digital assets, streams, and all of the huge partner ecosystem that we've built over the last few years. And we can already now see the excitement in the community where people really start to understand sort of what we've been building over the last few months, right? And where it's all sort of coming together to build up this beautiful, beautiful mosaic where one component basically enables another component and another product and another ecosystem to really be built on top of IOTA. So in true IOTA fashion, right, the butterfly is getting clearer and clearer, and I'm very sure that we are not just directionally right with IOTA, but that we are really, all of the decisions that we've made have brought us to where we are today. And I think moving forward with the current strategy, Chrysalis, Cordicide, production-ready protocol, and already now building up the entire ecosystem on top of IOTA with smart contracts, digital assets, oracles, streams, and so on. We're not just building this production-ready protocol, but we are already right now building this huge ecosystem that will be enabled on IOTA. And ultimately, our objective is to replicate the success of Ethereum. Like, I have a huge respect for what they've achieved, but I think we can do better, right? We're just getting started, and this is a journey that's really going to determine the future of many industries, right? Of many of our society as well, right? Because the goal is for IOTA and for crypto assets themselves to really be the backbone, be the enabler of these new ecosystems, and our focus is on the machine economy. And I think the path towards this machine economy is clearer than ever. And Firefly will be the gateway towards this machine economy. And yeah, I hope all of this is clear to all of you. Uncertainty was the start of this discussion, and I think the end is really that we have a certain future, that we have a certain direction, and that we are very confident in where we're heading. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask them on Reddit or on Discord. I'll answer them next week on the AMA. And without further ado, get excited for Firefly. Try and get used to reusing addresses. And see you next time. Have a good weekend and see you soon.